Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. And at this time, I would like to ask for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Katnig,
Present.
Commissioner Hood,
Present.
Commissioner Prince,
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
All right. At this time, I will entertain any amendments to the agenda today. Yes, ma'am.
We have a few addressing the dark skies, supporting being the county being a reserve. Also, Custer County Economic Development Corporation with regards to the 2017 community assessment, and also addressing one of us being a public relations person and communicating with the newspapers.
Okay, if you're agreeable, we will address these items after the Wetmore Community Center. Do we have anything else?
I do have, I got an email from Shannon, and he said that they have to get a new bid on the courtroom door, so he wouldn't be able to present that today. So we can take that off the agenda.
Okay. Yeah, last time we talked about it, we decided not to do it because it cost them too much money. What this is, they want to put out the door in the courtroom so the judge can escape without having to walk out through the same area that the defendants and the plaintiffs. Okay, we will remove that item from the agenda then. Are there any other changes?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I don't have one.
Okay, at this time, I would like to hear a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, now we're ready for the audience introductions, please. The reason we do this is that we do have your name on tape, so when you make a comment, we need to go back and figure out who said what. We hopefully can do that, and Kelly does a wonderful job of identifying who opened the meeting. So we'll start right over here with you, please.
Kayla Day, Florence Citizen, Wetmore News.
Nan Davenport, Wetmore.
Brenda admin to the board.
Courtney Davenport, Wetmore. John Spar, Wetmore.
Bruce Spar, Wetmore.
Jim Heath, Westcliff.
Kim Heath, Westcliff.
Betty Garber, Wetmore.
Kathy West, Wetmore. Jody Bubis, Westcliff, and from Sunlock.
Drew West, Wetmore.
D. West, Wetmore.
Margaret Storm, Kansas City.
Rose Heidbaugh, Wetmore.
Ann Hayward, Wetmore.
Alden Gray, Wetmore.
Vivian Walholtz, Wetmore, Kimball County Road. Nancy Cruz, Wetmore.
Dale Falsky, Wetmore.
Ruth Roper, Wetmore.
Ray Garber, Wetmore.
Okay.
Would that be so?
Oh, we've got a couple Road Bridge folks over there.
Larry Haynes, Wetmore Road and Bridge.
Kevin Day, Road and Bridge.
All right, well, thank all of you for being here. I think the next item on the agenda we have are the approval of some minutes. These minutes are for the dates of January 31st, February 7th, and 8th. Do we have any corrections to the minutes?
Yes. On January 31st, I'd just like to address under public comment. Kelly, I'm not sure what the protocol is, but you did put the question from John Johnston, but you didn't put my answer. And that would alleviate a lot of questions that are out in the community right now.
Okay,
Could I ask you to go back and
put the
amend that?
answer.
And what is your answer?
I specifically, she's got it, so.
Yeah,
I
I've got it on
that.
I've got it on that.
Well, we can't approve the minutes in without seeing what the additions are, so we'll have to postpone this one. Anybody else? Do you have any additions or corrections?
I had no changes. I thought they looked good. I think we should do it.
I read through the minutes and I thought they were in good shape also. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February the 7th and the 8th.
I'll I move that we approve the minutes for February 7th and February 8th and postpone the approval on January 31st. Do we have amended copies to approve?
I'll second that motion as stated.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Now we're ready for the public comment period, if you would, please. This is an opportunity for you to bring some issues to us that maybe we are not aware of, or maybe we've forgotten about, or whatever. Do we have any public comment at this time? Yes, ma'am.
I do. The last meeting that was held here, I was very disappointed. I felt that all three of you, when you were running, you were very involved, you were very concerned about the Wetmore Community Building. And then you all said that you knew nothing at the last meeting. You were like, well, no one told me this, no one told me that. And then you, the architect was derided. Lynn Atterbury was derided. I feel if you had done your homework, that you wouldn't have been in the dark. This building has been out in the open for a long time. I'm sure you pass it a lot when you're going other places, and I felt that it was easier to put blame on other people than to say, we should have done our homework. And Bob, you sat here for a year and listened to it all. And I felt that it was easier for you to put blame on other people than to realize you hadn't done your homework and that you were in the dark. And I know stuff comes up, but Lynn Atterbury allowed us to dream. He cared about us. We have one building. That's it. We haven't had anything in that building since the first week of April. And this is not in the dark. I feel like it was, that's the oldest character flaw since the beginning of man, is to blame someone else. And I felt, in all due respect, I respect your offices, but I felt that it was easier for you to blame than to say, you know what, we should have done our homework. We're trying to fix it, it will be fixed, but you shouldn't have been in the dark.
If I may respond to that first. Those of you who were not in Westcliff when we had our last commissioners meeting, that Lynn Atterbury and Kit Shy attended, we went around and asked them specifically. We specifically asked Lynn, please give us an update, because Lynn was a person this was his district. He's the one that you've been working with very closely. And every time we'd ask what was going on, and I did due diligence on following through, we asked what we had any other issues, give us an update on the building. And none of the issues that these two have brought up were addressed at that time.
It sounded like the last one came up pretty quickly about the state. That was
The what?
the thing with the state, with the ADA bathroom. That was unforeseen. That didn't really make sense.
I'll let whichever one of these words respond.
Ma'am, I appreciate what you're saying, and I understand. For me, this is my district. I did as much homework as I was allowed to do on the project before I was sworn in. And the reason I say allowed to do, because as a private citizen, I wasn't privy to the contracts, to many of the discussions. I wasn't allowed to go to the meetings. I specifically asked, can I come to the planning meetings? I commend Lynn Atterbury and the previous commissioners for doing what they did. And I said that from day one. I will say that till you bury me. Maybe I'll get cremated, I don't know. Whatever.
No, you speak up.
I'm sorry, I'll speak up. I apologize. We did seek information and we didn't have it. Some of the things that you're referring to are new items that Lynn didn't even know about. And the state came in and said, after the fact, by the way, you need an ADA bathroom downstairs. And that's very expensive. And we questioned the builders, we questioned the architect, we questioned, because that's our job, is to not squander money.
Oh, I know.
But I personally, and I can't speak for them, but I know their feelings. But we want you to have this building. This is a terrific building. I can't wait to go in there and have meetings in there and do things for it.
it's very difficult. And we learned the other day that we knew nothing about this. The builder and the architect came to us and said, if we do what we're supposed to do, you're going to be $100,000 over budget. I recognize this is kind of a shock to us. Why didn't we know about this? I mean, when we asked, we weren't told this. Well, we weren't told about the $300 a day penalty we're paying. Every construction project I've been in, and if anybody has something else, please just jump in and speak up, has been if you don't deliver the product on time, the builder pays you a penalty for not delivering the product when it's done. I was pretty adamant at the last meeting, and I was not real happy, and it came across that way, and I meant it that way. What do you mean we don't have insulation and a ceiling in southern Colorado? I recognize the building never had, and I'm just giving examples of the kind of things I didn't know. Because I'm actually agreeing with you. This is terrible that we walk into a situation and get these surprises. And we're kind of at our wits' end, so three of us. But, we don't really know when specifically, and please believe me, I have asked Lynn, and his wife was my opponent, and maybe there was some political things going on here, and I'm not saying anything negative about Lynn, because I think he did a wonderful job. I think the community needs to thank him for the years of service he's done. I asked the Republican Party to do it, and they've ignored me. I specifically said, let's have a thank you for Lynn and Kit. Now, Kit Shy is still our surveyor, so he's still in the community. But Lynn has now retired. And I asked the Republican Party to please, let's have a party for him. Let's thank him for his years. Okay, but I was not, when I asked, I did not get a lot of information. When I went to the builders and stuff, and I said, I'm going to be commissioner, can you tell me? And they go, I really can't, and I'm not blaming them, I'm not putting anybody under the bus, because I was just a citizen. I wasn't privy to the contracts and things that were going on. So we did get hit with some surprises. You heard the frustration at the last meeting of what it's about. And when I scream and holler about that kind of thing, it's to protect all of us. That's my job, is to not squander money. So I really feel for, I understand completely your frustration, but I want you to know, the building, I was just there 10 minutes ago, there was another gentleman that I saw over there, he's in the, anyway, there's another gentleman in the audience that I saw over there, and progress is moving wonderfully well. We're going to be many thousands of dollars in penalty we're paying for being late. That isn't really our fault. Usually if there's a change order and it delays the project, the contractor doesn't pay the customer a penalty. And in this case, the bathroom was an issue. I absolutely agree that was nobody's fault. The contractor, the state came in and said, you have to have it, period, the end, and we're going to do everything legally we can. So we're getting the bathroom. I apologize for your frustration. I understand it. We share some of that. I personally share some of that frustration. Am I totally up to speed at this point? Absolutely not. Will I ever be fully up to speed? I hope so. I don't know. Okay, so what I want to tell you is I and my fellow commissioners fully support this project. We love the project. It's wonderful. I looked at that class this morning and I said, this is great. This is just great. So I'm not making excuses. Please understand that I think Lynn did a wonderful job. I think he personally made that building happen here at Wetmore. He needs to be commended. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate him for doing it. We were adversaries, well, actually his wife and I were adversaries during the campaign. And Mr. Falsky is here. Thank you for coming. He was, he lives in the community. He'd have been in the dark too, not because he's not, just for the same reason that I was. We were just a citizen at the time. So I'm sorry to take so much time answering your question, but I want to tell you that I personally, my district is, I live in West Cliff. Actually, I live in an unincorporated area. My district encompasses Wetmore, and I will do anything I can to help and I mean that sincerely, this is not blowing smoke. I'm doing this because I want to help. That's the only reason. I'm 67. I'm supposed to be retired. I'm here to try and help the community maybe get better. I know I'm going to ruffle feathers because that's the way it works. But ma'am, please understand that I get your frustration. You're going to have a wonderful building. You'll have your ADA bathroom. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you're trying to be, yeah, that's a lot of money. If I'm not mistaken, I thought 2 years, thought 2 years in a row, which would have been 2016 to 2015, wasn't 80,000 put aside by the county toward this building? Have those been completely used?
It's much more money than that.
Well, I appreciate you trying to be wise with our money. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a difficult.
And I understand your frustration. And
If I could
I'll work
respond.
with you if I can.
Dawn says,
I'd like to respond. From the very beginning, in January, when we were inducted as commissioners, we immediately set up a meeting with the contractors in the building. And we've been trying to meet every 2 weeks with them. You need to understand that it was not an easy transition. We didn't have a transition with Lynn or with Kit, so we were kept in the dark. And the last meeting in January, which Bob, it was actually the first meeting on January the 10th, when we had the switch over from the old to the new, that question was asked. And we were told that the project was going to be completed by the end of January. So when we went to our first meeting, we found out from the contractors, oh no, it's delayed. And we've been getting progress reports like this at our meetings. I don't know if you have seen this, but at the bottom of the page, this was the last one that we got, it says that the issue with the metal studs going back and forth from 5.5 to 6 inches
Right.
took 1 month of delay, plus extra cost incurred.
Right.
The ADA bathroom, going back and forth with the state, 3 months, okay? And that was decided over Christmas, still going back and forth. That ADA bathroom's not complete. Transfer grills, 3 weeks. The moving of the door, a month, just the conversation took a month. HVAC submittals, another 3 months. So, yes, I'm going to say we were in shock when we met for the first time. And during that meeting, I stated this last week, I asked, what is this costing the county on a daily basis? I did not get an answer.
That is terrific.
I did not get an answer. So I was a little
I thought
appalled
they said
because
$300.
$300 a day, but was also said at the last meeting is that $300 a day is included in these costs that they're giving us with the time delay. So it's not like you're gonna, it's about $25,000 at the end that we'll see, okay? So know that we have been doing our due diligence for all of you, okay? But you need to know this was not an easy transition for us. Had we had sat down with Lynn and with Kit at the same time and gone over the drawings, we'd be in a different spot, okay? But
I
that's
appreciate
where
that.
we are,
I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
okay?
Each one.
I would also like to respond that, I don't know if you're aware or not, but we did honor Kit and Lynn both with resolutions, thanking them for their service to the county. And they were presented with certificates and the resolution at the meeting that we had the swearing-in ceremonies. And I will not throw Lynn under a bus. Lynn has done a lot of good for the county. This project, you know, when I first was aware of it, was like $450,000. Then we got back our bids. You know, the closest bid we had was 700 and something. The other two were 900. And as we've tried to work forward, and Lynn has been your lead, and every meeting we would have an update on the building. So I apologize that I wasn't closer, man, but it really wasn't my spot to horn in on Lynn and say, what are we doing? And we'd ask what we're going forward. And I don't see this as being anybody's fault. I see this as being a situation that we've had some whirlwinds. We've had some issues with the state, with the plumbing inspection. I don't know where we're gonna go from here, but the first criteria is to get the building finished. And then we'll get down and negotiate and see if there's some other things we can do between all three parties. I don't want to go into there, I think it's premature, but at this time, all we can do is finish the building. I mean, that's what we have to do. And we need to finish it in the best manner that we can. But now, with where we are, and we're making some cuts, but we're, $875,000 total. And, I mean, I'm not begrudging the folks that, but given our county resources, we're starting to get pretty tight.
Oh, I understand.
So does that help answer a little bit?
Well, thank you for letting me voice my frustration, and thank you for your
Well, it's
answers.
not frustration, it's concern.
No, it
Yeah, we've been
is.
working on this for years, and, we're looking forward to the completion.
And the bottom line is, I believe this would not have been done had Lynn Atterbury not stepped forward, took the lead, and said, we're gonna get it done. I believe that.
No, it never would
I know
have.
that.
Never
And
would
he
have.
needs to be thanked by everybody, including us and the community. That's my opinion, and I'm thrilled to take the project over. We're all taking the
I know,
project
it's
over.
difficult,
We're
yes.
very close to being done. I was this one, the drywall's up, it's really looking good. We're close, and there's always gonna be bumps in the road, and we're doing the best we can, and that I promise you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Please, if there's anybody else who has frustration or has questions, please throw them out. We would like to address them and handle them.
I have a question, or clarification I need. There have been meetings ongoing since the beginning of the building, every 2 weeks, is that correct? Now, were those not open to the public?
You were, and Larry, would you like to address some of those? When Lynn wasn't there, you were the county person on site
Okay,
to carry
so, well,
forward.
that's all I need to know, it's just they were open to the public.
Yes.
And so anyone that was going to be coming in to office in January could have been at those meetings to be up to speed. Is that correct or not?
That is not correct.
Okay,
I
because you
was-
said you were not
I was at
welcome.
those meetings.
Okay,
I was not, what I was not welcome, and I'm not saying I wasn't welcome, I wasn't privy to the contracts and to the behind-the-scene negotiations. I was just I was a fly on the wall.
okay,
I was listening to what was going on, but I was there,
okay.
and I listened to them.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
that's
sure I
fine.
didn't
That's
misquote
fine.
you, and wanted to clarify that.
You got any comments, Larry, you'd like to make on the building, the process, anything?
They were
And you
just-
were attending those meetings?
Yes, they were just progress meetings, tell us what was going on, but no, the contract and stuff, that was never discussed.
Right, and that was the issue. I was at those meetings, we did discuss them.
And we're going to be discussing some changes in the building a little later in our agenda, if we can maybe move on, if there's no more building questions.
I would like
Does anybody
to make a
else?
comment if I could. When you spend a ton of money with an architect, I think at the very least, you can expect code compliant plans. Now, you say it's nobody's fault, but it is somebody's fault. Somebody signed off on the completion bond, and the completion bond is a two-way street. If it's our fault, we pay. If it's their fault, they pay. But you just can't say, "Oh, gee whiz, we don't know what happened." It is someone's fault.
Let me respond, Mr.
Just hold on, please. Are we getting places we shouldn't be talking about this right now?
I'd say it might be better to wait till you get into the community center, but it's not anything that's
I'd like to
privileged.
respond to him, Mr. Polsky, if I may, please. You weren't at the last meeting. That exact question was part of my frustration. Why am I learning about this now? Why, when you drew up the plans, did we not know it needed it? Why wasn't they run by the state to make sure? And the folks who were here can attest that I was pretty adamant about that, because you are absolutely 100% correct. What do you mean? As the project's about done, you come in and say, oh, by the way, you need another $50,000 ADA bathroom. Excuse me? Why wasn't that in the plan in the first place? And there's more. The ceiling in the kitchen needs to be a cleanable ceiling.
Partial ceiling.
Thank you. And we found out that we're working around that, we have another solution, but late in the game, they come in and say, oh, by the way, you need that. And I got all over Mr. Duke, the contractor, and the people here will tell you, I was pretty adamant about, what is this? Didn't you plan this properly? Did you do your job? And that question was asked. I share your frustration. The results, the answers were very wishy-washy. Well, we thought we could convince the inspector that we didn't need the ADA bathroom and stuff like that. But yes, those answers were addressed, those questions were addressed, and I share your frustration and I agree with you. I just don't know where to go at this point.
I am not frustrated.
I am.
I am just saying that someone should take responsibility.
If I may interrupt, this question isn't answered yet. Our first issue is to build the building. And then we're gonna come back and sit down and we're gonna seek if there's some redress that is due us. But I don't wanna go beyond that at this time because I don't think it would be appropriate. I mean, I don't know where we're gonna go, but I don't want to do anything that would cloud what we're trying to do down the road. Does that make sense, Dale?
Oh, sure.
But I also assure you that the contractor is a little frustrated also. And we have had a very good meeting with him. I thought he was very willing to work with us. I think we've got some things we can address, and I'm encouraged.
Just like to say something. Our IT person now has all of our meetings that we've had to date on audio on the website. You are most welcome to go back and listen to what happened on Friday. It's public.
And I'd like you to go back to that January 10th meeting. I
Yeah.
remember what we asked and what was responsible. But that's not gonna solve anything. Our issue today, as we go forward, is to get this building complete as soon as we can. The best mixes and stuff that we can of it, and get you folks back in that building. And then from there, we'll still have areas to work on, but that's not, right now, it's not high on my priority to say, you did it. My high priority is get that key to turn and go from there. Anything else? Are we moving along? If not, any other community issues or any other?
On the contract that they drew up, did everyone read it word for word? Is the contractor really liable if it's not finished at a certain time, or is there clauses in there where he can't be punished in any way for not getting his total amount due? And he can run over time and not have to pay for it, in other words. Every little word in that contract.
Your point is very well taken.
We did have the contract reviewed by legal counsel, and we spent quite a lot of time going through it. As you get into I don't know how many pages that is, it must be
It's right here.
15,
It's right here.
8 or 10 pages or longer. But, and again, we're gonna talk about this a little bit if we may in the Wetmore community part of it, because we still have that on the agenda, if that would be agreeable. Okay, any other agenda items? Public items. Okay, if not, we'll move on to the commissioner items. Do any of you have anything?
I do. I would like to state that on February 8th, we had a workshop with our IT director, Chuck Iapolito, and we're brought up to date, the commissioners, with where we are and hopefully on some projects that we're headed. On 2/13, we had a marijuana workshop, and I want to commend Clint for providing a great foundation for us to start with. It was a great workshop of information and communication. No decisions could be made in a workshop, but it was brought to our attention by our sheriff that our governor and legalities may direct us in a certain way going down the road. So we did not move forward with our ordinance, but it was a great opportunity for discussion.
Can I add one thing, please? If you just mentioned, we're not getting marijuana in the county. That's not what the discussion was. I just want you to, I don't want you to think we're voting to get marijuana in. It's important.
Please let her finish and then you can respond, please.
The workshop was an ordinance regarding caregiving marijuana in the county. On 2/14, We had a tourism meeting, and on 2/16, we had a tourism workshop. Happy to say that we are moving along, and we actually have some partners now in tourism, that being the Economic Development Corporation, the Chamber, and CART with the Tourism Bureau. So we're moving ahead, trying to get a brand for our county. On 2/15, the three commissioners took a visit up to Denver, and we met with the president of CSU regarding extension. And we now have, I would say, a better understanding of what a partnership with extension should be in our county. The very next day, we had an extension workshop, and that was with the two directors that our extension agent reports to directly. That was an interesting workshop. Spent about an hour and a half on one major issue with regards to what the 4-H Foundation is. On 2/17, I met with the HR Finance Director, Donna Hobby, and just so you know, we are trying to move forward in making all job descriptions, which some of them haven't been looked at since the year 2007. So we're trying to update those job descriptions and put them in a form that is consistent. And the last thing I have is that the commissioners get approached by both the papers that are here, and I'd like to propose that one of us, being me, be the correspondent working with Clint with addressing items to the papers. Don't know how either one of you feel about that, but I think one of us should be appointed a PR person.
We've got it on our agenda later to discuss.
Okay, I didn't see that on the agenda.
Anything else?
Nope.
No. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just wanted to mention that when you said we were working on a marijuana website, the issue is by state law, the caregivers can grow up to 99 plants. That's state law. We don't have really control. However, we have an option to lower that number to something different. The state's looking at lowering it on their own, and we're waiting to see what the state does, and we'll move forward. I just want to give you an update on that. I didn't want you to think you new commissioners are going, let's get rid of it here by selling marijuana. I just didn't want you to get that impression.
I've been involved in this a lot longer than my colleagues have. The issue come to a head about a year ago when we had a raid in Custer County. Remember, we had ATF and all the big boys here, and we busted several operations. And then we had one operation that come back into business again, and they raided it again. There were 99 plants. And then what did we do with those plants? At that time, we had to keep them as evidence. Now we don't have to, but at that time we had to. So we felt as a county we needed to provide some more tools to law enforcement so we can address some of the grow operations. The surrounding counties are between 12 and 20 plants. Fremont, Chaffee, Park, so forth. We want to do something to strengthen this, but at the same time, as we got into the meeting, there are people that, as I understand it, and help me if I misparaphrase, but you can be a caregiver and grow a number of plants because you might have 4, 5, or 6 people that you're providing product to. As I understand it, the way that's determined is that the doctor writes prescriptions and says, okay, you need to have 6 plants. I understand also that the marijuana plant genetics has changed tremendously. And pardon my expression, I gotta go back to what I was raised with, that you can either have 3-2 beer or you can have 100 proof alcohol, you know? And that the plants vary that much. So we want to be sure that we do not infringe on the right of the caregiver or the people they're offering, care to. So we've tabled it until we, and Clint did a wonderful job of digging through all these regs. I mean, it's a mess. But we are going to do the best job we can so that we have what we need to do to control some of these wildcat operations that are out there. Fair summary?
Fair summary.
All right, gosh, you've heard what we've been doing. I had one other meeting, we just met here on Friday, but I had another meeting on Saturday. I met with the Verde Homeowners Association. That's a subdivision in the southern end of Custer County out by the airport. They have some of the same problems that everybody else in the county has. The roads are rough, they're washboarded, concerned about speed. We have people out there walking dogs, cars going by them. What they felt was unsafe speed, concerned about somebody getting hit. We will be working with our road and bridge to address that. But I spent about an hour with them, just like we do with you folks every time, to see what their concerns are. And any of us will be meeting with the homeowners associations as they request. Okay. All right, let's go to our attorney. Any attorney?
No, nothing really to report. I'm still waiting for a ruling on the motion I filed to dismiss Custer County out of the lawsuit involving Las Mojadas and the Halpins, but there hasn't been a ruling yet.
Are we overstepping our bounds, or we give a very brief synopsis of what we did?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe these folks would like to hear, but...
Well, I can just say that that lawsuit that's been going on for almost 5 years now, after the Court of Appeals made its ruling last May, that put everything pretty much back where it was, the county's attempt to deed some property to, was really trying to deed a right-of-way to the Halpins, but didn't follow the correct procedures, so it just essentially set that aside, put everything back where it was. The commissioners made a decision to just go ahead and keep the right-of-way, not try to deed it over to a private individual, which they would have been required to do. They can't just abandon a right-of-way and then suddenly leave a property owner landlocked, so they had an obligation to do something, but the county's decided to keep it. Road and Bridge will do basic maintenance on it as required. And it was my feeling at that point there were no issues left in the case involving the county, so I filed a motion to dismiss back in December. The attorney for the Halpins agreed with it. He didn't want to challenge it. The attorney for Las Mojadas did oppose it. I filed a reply to his response, and now the case is just on the judge's desk waiting for the judge to make a ruling on whether the county is out or not.
Well, we are, I think the frame of mind to get this settled is much better than it was 3 or 4 years ago.
One question, when do I start doing anything on it?
When do you?
Yeah.
Not until we get the rulings.
Not yet, okay.
Well, as it stands now, it's a county road again. I mean, that, 390?
390.
Is a county road.
But don't do anything yet.
Property.
I don't know if, let's visit with Gary and see if it may want to go ahead and service it, grade it, whatever, but, because it's back where it was
Yeah,
before all of this started. Does that help?
kind of.
Well, I would expect a ruling within a couple of weeks or so at the most.
Okay.
Because our stopping point has changed. Our distance is different than what it used to be. So
Well, that's why I think we need to wait
can't do
until
any
we...
improvements to the rest of that until you have your rule.
I would go to where you had been going,
That's what I've been.
because nothing has changed.
Okay.
Say your stopping point is different, but before you were customarily going to the stop sign, weren't you, and turning around?
No, right at that gate.
But that got on Mike's gate.
Well, no, Hamilton's gate
Yeah.
going in.
So anyway, am I right? We're kind of back where we were in 19.
Because see, we never went down that road.
I would do what you've been doing and not go
Okay.
beyond until we find, this is happening now. We'll know more in a couple, 3 weeks.
That's what I was wondering when I start.
I've got it.
We'll let you know as soon
Okay.
as we have a definite ruling on it. But it's right now, it's the county's road. If there was something that needed to be done, you certainly have the authority to do it. One of the issues that Las Mojadas' attorney is arguing is that wants a definite width of that right of way, and there's never been a definite width. So, but I don't think that's something that needs to be decided in this lawsuit. That wasn't an issue in the lawsuit. It was just whether or not the right of way was deeded properly.
I've got a question I forgot to ask earlier. Maybe Nan, you can answer, or Ruth or somebody. What's the status of the kiosk that we're working on down here?
Yeah, I answered that.
Marty, yeah.
Margaret would know.
The kiosk will not be in the ground until 2018. Okay. That would be the same as Silver Cliff. All the kiosks have to wait until every single one of them has been approved by History Colorado and the State Historical Society.
Wonderful.
We have one panel that has been in question at the Wetmore kiosk. And I'll be in a meeting Friday, and hopefully we'll learn something.
Maybe as you go forward, you can let Jay know where we are. This is what this is was but basically a historical kiosk. And I believe part of that we're talking about Carhart and some of his original park work, isn't it? And then some of the history, is that?
Carhart is not on the kiosk. What I should have done is brought that information, and if you'll give me your email, I'll send you some.
There's no rush on it. Just another item out there that I want to be sure we don't.
Yeah, I've been the contact person because I'm president of the Historical Society here.
I know you guys put a lot of work in on it, that Linda's working on it.
Yes.
I just want to be sure that there wasn't something we needed to be doing that we weren't doing.
Not at this point.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'm going to defer on the executive session. What we're going to do, we'll be calling executive session later on this afternoon to go through some personnel stuff. And we'll move into new and old business. The first item I have under old business is a letter of endorsement from the Custer County Corps of Chaplains. I believe we have a letter. Would either of you like to address that?
I would, if I may, Mr. Chairman. A gentleman has approached the county, if you're not aware of this, who is a trained chaplain. He offered to volunteer services to do chaplain work for road emergencies if there's an accident or first responders who need help. He is trained. We endorse that suggestion. We spoke to the sheriff, who strongly endorses that suggestion. And we feel that the fire department's in favor of it. So if it's accepted with you, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a motion that we, as a county, recognize the chaplain program in Custer County with Mr. Eric Foster currently as the chairperson of that, and that we endorse that, and he will work directly with the first responders to set his facilities up to work for the betterment of the county.
Did you put that in the motion?
I did.
All right. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion as stated.
Okay, I would like to read into the part of the discussion, the letter. I think that the letter is really what we're addressing, not the process that they're using to establish it. Custer County Corps of Chaplains, Emergency Responding Chaplains, to whom it may concern. The Custer County Board of County Commissioners is pleased to support the formation of the new Custer County Corps of Chaplains, Emergency Responding Chaplains program. We believe the formation of this program is a positive step toward providing support to all of our emergency service personnel as well as the citizens of our county who may become victims of a crime or tragedy. Although our county has a wonderful set of emergency responders, our resources are very limited, and the program will provide an extra service that our limited resources have not been able to provide. And what we've done in the past is that the individual agencies, if they need to have counseling and so forth, they've handled that on their own. And I don't see that changing, but this is there's times that, if the people need at least somebody, or if they don't want them, we're certainly not going to push it. It's a volunteer basis, but this will be a resource that we made available. Okay, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Oh, excuse me.
I've really got a problem with the way Mr. Foster has he's using the wrong word when he uses core, C-O-R-E. It's a core, C-O-R-P-S. And when Brenda shared his request with me, well, Brenda asked him about it, and he said, no, it can't be C-O-R-P-S because that only is for military organizations, and that's not correct. A corps is a body of people that's united in a particular activity, so I really believe that he should change the name of it and call it a corps, C-O-R-P-S.
Good catch. If I may, I'd like to amend my motion to approve this with the correction that Mr. Smith has suggested.
Do we have to, I mean, we would have to get him to buy into that.
Yeah, because
And maybe,
when she asked him, he said no, he wanted C-O-R-E, which is, if we want to endorse it, I guess we can, but it's not the right word.
yeah, so,
My thoughts are, we put it in here as we see fit to endorse it. If he doesn't want to take it, well, this is what we called it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, that's fine, I just wanted to point that out.
maybe you and he should have a discussion.
Okay.
Well,
Well, once it's done, it's done. If we just let him know that, the board's feeling was that core, C-O-R-P-S is the correct.
That's what we're endorsing, is the C-O-R-P-S, because core to me is a central, it's
That's
the
exactly.
center of it.
That's right. And he said it's only a military term, but you have a press corps and a lot of other things. So, ambulance corps, yeah. So I think maybe if Brenda explains that to him when she sends him a copy of the letter, that we feel pretty strongly, the board feels strongly, and that should be the word that's used.
All right, and you, would you
He
second
made
the great
the,
amendment?
you made the amendment to go with the suggestion,
To be C-O-R-P-S as opposed to C-O-R-E.
then I'll second the change.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sometimes we get a little deep in the weeds, folks, but we have to. We have, the next item is the annual fire operating plan. Every year, Custer County has an agreement with the state on how we will handle fire, how they will respond. This is the framework that we've been working under for all the fires you folks have had down here. We didn't have many changes this year. Basically, there were a few minor wording changes that come down from the state. We had a meeting in Westcliff, oh gosh, it's probably been a month, 6 weeks ago, where all the emergency services and some of us were there and went over all of this. I don't see any reasons, and Clint, do you see anything that we needed of concern on this?
No, it's just typical government paperwork. They want this every year.
But this is what we have to have in order to get the support that we got, like on the jumping spot. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the 2017 Custer County Annual Operating Plan.
I'll make the motion to approve the plan as stated.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the next item of business we have will be the county building assessment.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
I received passed down information from Brenda with regards to the building assessment that was supposed to be complete in August 2016. That process did not happen. So I would like to be the commissioner that interacts with DOLA from this point on. I know you were looking for that contact, and I would like to schedule a meeting with Christy Dune. I saw that she had, through correspondence, certain dates that she and Jeff could come down, but I'd like to meet with her sooner than later to get this back where it belongs, because we did not have a successful result.
I would endorse you being the main contact, but I would very much like to be involved in all the discussions. I have no problem with you being the main contact, though.
What this is, folks, about a year ago, I think, we were approached by, I believe it was the University of Colorado, Denver School of Architecture, to do a needs assessment of our buildings. They're doing the projects that Kit took on. Some students come down and toured the county facilities, and then went back and it just kind of fell in a black hole. What often happens in these cases, having spent 20 years in academia, a professor that has some graduate students working. Oftentimes graduate students get sidetracked, get derailed, and they're also very slow getting stuff done because they're taking classes that's not a priority. We need to have this, and we need to move forward. So, Donna, you will
Question.
take to that.
What is this building assessment?
It's looking at the fairgrounds, looking at the shops, looking at the courthouse, looking at all of our county facilities, what that we own, and say, okay, these are good, or we need to do this, we need to improve this, and all it is a, Jack, is just an evaluation. I mean, there's no decisions. We won't make any, we may make down the road a decision from, but the purpose of this was just to have them look at it and offer some ideas to it.
It's a building inventory and assessment.
Okay, anything else? All right. Let's move on to another item of business, which is the school contract for emergency use. I think, Clint, you've seen this one. Did you?
I've looked at it, yes.
Would you have any comments or thoughts on it?
No, as I think you pointed out, at least through Brenda, that they don't identify Custer County as a political subdivision of the state of Colorado. That's our preference, but it's not fatal. So other than that, everything looked fine, and there is no cost to the county the way I'm reading this.
What this is, folks, is that we use the school as an evacuation center. When we had the Duckett fire, we evacuated the Rainbow Lutheran camp down to the schools. This year there's a Hayden Pass fire, again they moved down to the schools. If we have other issues, other places we need to bring people, that's our first point of contact. The problem we encountered was that, and my mom stepped on his toes and was telling facts, the Rainbow Lutheran camp group come down and they proceeded to continue to run their camp out of the school. And in discussions there, we felt that wasn't entirely appropriate unless they lease space from the school to use their camp, because the purpose of an evacuation center is to provide shelter for those that don't have any place to go, and also provide a 24 or 48-hour period, like this group that was evacuated, for them to make arrangements to move the evacuees someplace else. It's just kind of a cleaning up a little bit of the paperwork, and we've had a very close relationship. Part of you down here were a part of this. We have the schools, we have our Reserve Medical Corps. They have a very real part in this, setting up bunks and inventorying people in and out and so forth. It's a good working relationship. And this is, again, we just felt we needed to put some limitations and say, this is what you're going to be here, it's spelled out so they know that they need to move on. I would entertain a motion to accept this agreement with the change that we include in there, Custer County, a political subdivision of the state of Colorado.
I move that we accept the agreement for emergency facility service with the change so noted.
I'll second the motion as stated.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. If I had 3 more sheets of paper, I could lose 2 of them. All right, now we are going to move the door for the judges into the courtroom to a later date. The next item I have on the agenda is the Wetmore Community Center, and I will turn that over. The way we're doing this, Jay functions, Jay's your committee. Donna is our bean counter. has had a lot of experience in these areas and also a lot of financial experience. So I'm going to defer to those two to take the discussion.
I met with the head contractor this morning again, Tony. I meet with him all the time to discuss the project. Moving forward, if you haven't been in there, please go take a look. It's starting to look fabulous. The drywall's up, and it looks like it's going to be. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll speak up. My apologies. It's really coming into shape right now. It's looking really, really good. I've been approached by one of our constituents who is concerned about the water coming in. As you may or may not know, it's a cistern system that we have where the water collects in a cistern and then it comes into, can you hear me okay? Okay, good. Where the water then goes, it collects in the cistern and then it gets pumped into the building. There's concerns about what kind of filtration system there is. And I will be addressing that. I do not know the answer. I'm not going to make anything up, but it's a very valid, good question. And what I will do is I will find out about the filtration to make sure that the water coming out of the cistern back into the building, which we will be drinking, is of the quality that meets all the state requirements. So the question that was brought to me will be answered. I just don't have it at the moment, so I will answer it when I do have it. Other than that, the building is looking really good. We do have the ADA bathroom that we've been whining about a lot. I've been whining about a lot. You've been asking real questions. It's in process. It'll be finished. And I'm looking forward to the day we smash the champagne on the bow of the ship and we move on in, but we're not that very far away. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If I can, if not, I will just tell you I'll get back to you because I certainly don't know all the answers. Did we solve the problems on?
That's coming up next.
On which
I
one?
wanted to see if he was going to go there.
On the doors?
Oh, I can go there.
No, I'll go there right now. Here's what I talked to Tony this morning. The doors are very expensive to move back and leave in. What we're going to recommend is that the doors be removed, and we're going to put the doors, we're going to hang the doors as decoration on both sides of the wall. So the doors will still be there, but they won't be functional because they're beautiful doors. It's been part of the system forever. It's been part of the community center. So when I spoke to Tony this morning, he said, no problem. We're going to put the doors, just attach them to the walls as decoration. But as far as function goes, we just can't afford it. It's extremely expensive to move the doors back 6 feet. And when we looked at the different methods of egress and ingress into the building, we felt that it wasn't an expense that was warranted. Donna?
Okay. When we had our discussion with them on Friday, we actually got down to the nuts and bolts, and it's not over $100,000. It was $82,000 when all was said and done. In itemizing things that we said we could live without and changes, we actually came down to a savings of $24,752.20. Okay? And if anybody's interested in what those changes are, we just got an update this morning from the builder that itemizes those changes that I can review with you. On another note, it was also brought to our attention by Commissioner Patnick during discussion that the citizens of Wetmore were looking to help paint the project. That's going to be another significant change. We were supposed to receive updated information, which I have not, from yesterday afternoon from the contractor on what that savings would be to us. Some of the painting has to be done by the painter because it's an issue of safety for our citizens. So we could be as much as another $7,500 in savings if everybody says what they're going to do and help with the painting project. So we're whittling down those expenses.
Will
just
you
so
folks
know.
be willing to help paint? We talked about this, it's been part, I'm thinking, and say the architect didn't know anything about that and the contractor didn't know anything about it. Well, that's fine, we found out a little bit we can save. And basically, they're talking, I think, about the contractor painting the new part. Some of those ceilings are pretty high and so forth. And then you folks will supply the paint. But you folks will be painting basically what was the old part of the building. Does that make sense, Dan?
And it seems like nickel and dime, but the nickel and dimes add up. And that's why it went from, the original number was, we thought 100, then it went to 82, and now we're down to 52?
57.
57. So we're working it down, and, you know, I love the idea when we heard that the citizens really wanted to, they were offering to help paint, maybe do some of the gardening outside. I mean, this is your project, this is our project. I mean, I'll be there in my blue jeans with the paintbrush too.
Okay. But just know, the contractor is still researching some other savings for us.
Right.
That's why we can't give a total number of savings at this point in time. So they're still researching. They know that, actually, the contractor lives in Wetmore, okay? So he's wearing two hats here, construction and a citizen. So he understands the savings that are necessary for this project.
He actually lives over at Beulah, right on the county line, over on North Creek.
Close enough.
Well, he said he was a county taxpayer, so I'm
I'm
gonna go
telling
with
you,
that.
yes, it was on the county line.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yes.
Actually, from the get-go, we had talked about painting, but they had told us it's up to the contractor whether he feels comfortable with that. So I'm glad that that's opened again, because we talked about that. I think that this crowd that has been intimately involved in this, if you could give us the rundown
On the expense.
of what the 24,000 that will be.
I'll be more than happy to
Thank you.
just bear with me because it's tiny on my
Oh
phone.
yeah, I understand.
Why don't you read them off?
We just got this at 8:15 this morning.
Just read it off, I'll write it down, and we could pass it around if you like.
All right, big.
Okay. The first one is the new ADA drinking fountain. Originally, that was proposed at $4,775.47. It is now at $2,663.24
That would be the fountain on the second floor.
Right.
near the bathroom.
What, you just got a different,
Well, we
Major.
questioned, yeah, you need to understand, we went back and forth, okay, so this was a result.
I remember that from last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Additional data drops. So originally, they were 7440, they stayed at 7440. These were things that were in question that I'm talking about. Additional duplex outlet for the drinking fountain. That was originally $556.29, it stayed at $556.29. Relocation and new doors, referencing number 203 and 204. Original 562323. So these are the doors we're talking about, and we've removed that. So that's a savings of 562323. The ADA auto opener for one of those doors was originally $2,468.14. That's removed off the project. $2468.14. So if we don't have the doors, we don't need the opener.
Right.
So you're looking at almost $8,000 saving right there on those doors.
And that center partition will be
We'll
removed.
remove. Okay. It was actually an issue that was brought up to us because the sheriff's office is on that side, and if there were doors there that were locked, he could not have access to the bathrooms.
Great.
Okay. Next is the value engineering pricing versus the approved structure. That was originally $12,352.34, and it stayed. Next, stainless steel panels. That was originally $862.63, and we took it off. 862.63.
Those were for what?
I believe
No, that went behind the stove for cleaning, and we found that, we thought that was code. They told us was code, and we found that you didn't really need that.
Okay. New ADA restroom. Originally, $13,006.86. That is now $13,588.15. So that went up in price. The ceiling in the kitchen. Originally $2,988.97. We removed that to $29,88.97. So there's a change in that, and we found out that it doesn't have to be what they suggested.
Say that again, please. It sounded like the number was the same.
$2,988.97, and that was what the savings was because it was dismissed off the project.
Thank you.
HVAC work in the kitchen. Anticipated approval. And we've been going back and forth with this because originally with the stove, the way it is, the venting, first they said up and then they said no, it's going to go across. Well, bottom line, it's going up between the two chimneys. So that cost to do that is $4,916.99. New troffer style light fixtures. Originally $627.79. We took those out as a savings of $627.79.
What would replace that, please?
You don't need the fixtures with what we found out because these were the ones in the kitchen, and they said ones that are there will suffice.
And I understand those are LED fixtures, or there will be, the ones that are there.
Yeah, we actually got 2 grants, $4,000 each from the electric companies to help with the fixtures. General conditions and time extension. They're now saying that this operation should be complete, dated 3/31/2017. So the $300 a day we were talking about is totaling $25,529.25. So that began on February 1 because the project was not complete January 31st. Painting changes. Deducting the labor to paint the walls on the second floor, downstairs walls, adding painting of front stair risers by the contractor. And what we are is, they're saying that the anticipated approval with you helping would be a savings of $3,000. Stair treads at the rear stairs. That was not in the original. It's now costing $1,950.65. So these are the figures. $81,046.81 totaling original prices. Anticipated approval, $58,631.31. So those are the changes that would help bring that figure down by $24,752.20. So the savings is $24,752.20. So we're sitting right now at $58,631.31 over the project, the original project. Anybody have questions on these figures?
Thank you for sharing those.
I have a different question, not about the specific figures, but are there any grants that are still outstanding for approval?
For approval?
Yeah, I can address that a bit. I did put in for that USDA grant for the kitchen equipment, and there is no word on that. And it is my understanding that USDA is notorious for taking a long time. The other grant that we're looking at is the Adolph Course Foundation, and I have absolutely no idea how much they might approve on that, so, or if we're even in consideration, so.
Now, I'll be talking with Christy Culp from the Department of Local Affairs later today on another issue. I'm gonna see if they would be willing to give us some more money like they just did, and if they would do that, they went 50% for the 160,000 that we needed. So in this case, and again, I know it's gonna fly, but potentially if they did that, see, our total is 58,000, so we could get 30,000 from them, from DOLA, and then we would have a match of about 30,000. I mean, I'm just rounding numbers up, but, so that's where we are right now.
With Commissioner Hood's savings, what does that put the total project at, roughly? Mr. Commissioner Katnick said 875.
Well, we had a figure of $825,324 as of, in August.
Okay.
And that was with all the contracts and we pulled together. This would give us another $58,000, $58,631, is that correct, Donna?
Correct.
So if you add 825,324 plus the 24,7, you're at real close to, 880 roughly, I'm guessing. I'm just adding those in my head. But
Yeah, 883, so thank you.
any other questions? One other point I would like to add to that Donna mentioned, on the drinking fountain, I have a note here that Fluorite Plumbing reduced the original price to below cost as a favor to H.E. Whitlock. The original price quote was based on additional labor hours due to the installation of the drinking fountain being out of sequence with the rest of the plumbing scope of work, which loses the efficiency of the overall project. So that reduction on that drinking fountain was a deal that the contractor worked out with the sub.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they're trying their best to work.
And we had a super meeting, I thought. I mean, we really sat down here after you folks left, and item by item by item by item, and my sense is that I think our contractor wants to work with us. I mean, a statement he made, he said, and I was surprised. I mean, where does the contractor at? But he said right there, and he said, well, I'm a Custer County taxpayer, and I want this thing brought in as reasonable as we can. So that tells me that he's going to do what he can to wrap it up. Yes?
The contractor meetings, are those open or closed to the public?
They're open to the public, as I recall. But then when you get into the contract and some of the stuff that's confidential, the contract is public because we signed it. But if we get into negotiations and those things, those would be, I think, Clint, would be considered confidential, wouldn't they, until we had completed the negotiations. Right. Counselor's nodding his head right.
Is the contract available on the website, or?
It's recorded with the county clerk. You
can go at
pull it up at the courthouse.
All right, anything else on the building? Yes, ma'am. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am, please.
Just one question. We were talking about the doors and being locked. My understanding, all the doors upstairs are locked. So in other words, if someone got up there, all they could do is walk in the hallway.
Yeah.
Come back
No,
out.
that's not true.
They can walk
Down to the
downstairs.
basement and get
Okay,
into the
take
kitchen.
all of your stuff out of your kitchen.
But is there going to be a door on the kitchen? That was my other question. I don't know.
There will be one way or the other. We can't have it where they can walk into the kitchen.
Okay, so there'll be a locked door on the kitchen?
So that I'll look at the blueprint and we'll talk about that. I'm not going to, you can.
That's considered a commercial kitchen, so yes, there has to be a door on that kitchen.
So it will be locked, so everything, whether you're doing something upstairs or downstairs, nobody can wander through, or people off the street can wander in and get into anything other than the bathroom and drinking fountain.
Well, won't that building be locked when it's not in use?
Well, during the day when the library's open and.
That's what I mean, but there'll be people around, but then in the evenings, the building will be secured.
As it is right now, yes, you'll have the two downstairs doors. If the deputies that are running around don't leave that door unlocked. If they lock that door, the building's secure. If they walk out after we lock it, they come in and forget to lock it, that building is wide open.
Well, I don't know how we're gonna address that,
That's why we
Well-
wanted that doors upstairs.
but I fully appreciate that, but we're gonna somehow have to have someone address the security of the building.
You have to have a secret.
Yes, that'll be me.
I'll work on it.
Okay, anything else on the building? Okay, we'll move on. The next item of business I have that we added to the agenda, with regard to the dark skies, they had requested that we designate basically the Wet Mountain Valley as a dark skies
Reserve.
I know it wasn't region.
Yep, I'd just like to address that. Jim Bradburn, Chair of Dark Skies, did send the commissioners a link regarding what that entails. And I don't know if either one of you had a chance to read it.
Yeah, is it okay? I was very involved with Dark Skies with Westcliff and Silvercliff, which are two dark skies compatible communities. It was not a major sacrifice for the two towns to do it. And basically what we're talking about is lights that either don't burn as bright as you're accustomed to, like those vapor lock lights, or they have shades on that puts the light pointing down, so when you look at the skies, it's just, more beautiful. Jim and I have spoken about increasing that into the county, and I have major concerns with that, and this is not going to be pushed down anybody's throat. And the reason for that is, when we talk about livestock, feeding livestock, barns, and those kind of things, lighting is very, very different than it is in the towns. So before any decision is made by my colleagues and I on dark skies in the community, we will have input from the farmers in the community, in Custer County, from anybody who wants to discuss it, to see if it actually makes sense in the county. Like I said, the towns was really very simple. Because what was there, the lights already have a grandfathered in, it's just when you change it, you have to put in these special kind of lights that are, and it's not that much more expensive. It's actually not even more expensive. But I am concerned about livestock and those kind of things. So without us just going, oh, we're great in Silvercliff and Westcliff, let's do it in the county too. It's a different animal. So I would just like to discuss
I
that.
would, if I may add, it's unfortunate when we have items added at the last minute as we did to this item, because the county commissioners wrote letters of endorsement and approved dark skies in the valley about 10 years ago. And Donna found some of that information. So we've already got precedents that you folks haven't had a chance to look at, that I found by going through the file.
So
So
nothing's been done with it, so I think before we agree, we need to have
if I may finish,
public
please.
input. Certainly.
Where the county has already been involved in it, and the commissioners wrote letters of recommendation, and at that time it was not an issue, I don't anticipate that this is going to be an issue. I appreciate the commissioner saying what we have to handle livestock, but I've handled livestock my whole life. Lots of times we don't even have a damn light, all we have is a flashlight. So in terms of the actual reality of it, the needs aren't quite as demanding as what you perceive, I don't think. We used to use a little one incandescent 60-watt light bulb, and we got along fine. So when we get down to it, it's not going to be something that people have to do, but it's something that if you want to do it on a voluntary basis, it will add to it. So we've got some homework, both of you, that we need to go back and look at, I think.
Well, I'm not suggesting any action be taken here. I just wanted to reference the fact that Mr. Bradburn suggested that we do a public forum so we can address questions from the public. No action to be taken. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, we need to do it, and we'll be addressing it soon.
Can I add one thing on this, Bob?
Yes, sir.
This is taking off my county attorney hat as a member of Dark Skies. The idea is, and we're talking about the Wet Mountain Valley, but there's also some discussion if it should just include all of Custer County, which would include Wetmore. The lighting that's requested, and it's not going to be mandatory, but if people want to change their lighting, Dark Skies will actually pay for that. That's one of the things that we do. But the idea is to make Custer County or the Wet Mountain Valley give it a brand, as Donna talked about with the tourism board. I'm I'm already seeing a lot of people that are coming. I run the observatory for dark skies, and I'm seeing a lot of people coming just for that purpose, to come and enjoy our dark skies, to reserve a session at the observatory, look through our excellent telescope that we've got, and see what's up there. And that's bringing some money in. They're coming in, staying overnight, lodging, meals. So we're hopeful that it will be economically beneficial to the county.
And I just want to add, some citizens in the county already have that concern and are doing that on their own.
Right.
So that's already in progress by them doing it themselves. But Clint, could you reference, is there a board person regarding the lights? If you want to get, what's that, the cost may be if you want to change it over?
Talk to Jim Bradbury.
Okay.
He drives that operation.
Okay?
Yep.
I'd like to add more to that. I'm one of the people that are going that way. I priced the light, and it's gonna cost $300. And then, the installation, I will own the light. If they put one up, it's gonna cost me $12.50 a month. Looking at the cost savings of that light versus my President Mercury Vapor, the light will pay for itself in about 2 years. And beyond there, then I'll have a savings incurred because we do have the LED lighting and the lower lighting. So, and I'm gonna go ahead, I need to do it. I'm going to do it because I feel very comfortable that it'll provide the lighting that I need around my farmstead. Okay, any other comments, thoughts? Okay, the next item we have on here is the Custer County Economic Development Corporation.
Yes, I believe we all received an email from Chair Charles Vogel, just making us aware of the fact that the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade is now accepting applications regarding the 2017 community assessment. So I just want to make sure that everybody has gotten that and that we can support it any way we can.
And just to let you know, Charles did ask to be put on the agenda for the 7th.
Of March.
Okay.
And they're, well, this is a parallel, but I believe on the 3rd of March, the broadband group is having a meeting via teleconference at the library. I have it at 1 o'clock. And that will be an update on stage 3 of the broadband towers we're looking at. And we'll see also at this time what we're looking at for this side of the county. And there's still one more phase to go with this project. Public relations. Excuse me.
Say that date again for the meeting?
Yes, ma'am. It is the March the 3rd, and that will be at the Westcliff Library in their meeting room, and that starts at 1 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be wonderful if you get any of your in. It'll be wonderful to have you. Okay, public relations.
I'd just like to address that I think it's important that the county commissioners have one person that can respond to the papers. And I would be more than happy to offer that position, working along with Clint in any sensitive information that would have to be addressed.
Any comments?
I don't have any problem if you want to take that on, but before anything goes out, I'd like to see what you're saying for the 3 of us.
I don't think any action is necessary if you're willing to
Willing to
take
be
that
that
on.
person. I know individually we keep getting addressed, sometimes all of us, and I think it's important that we have a response so that we remain transparent.
And this is a heads up to everybody, personnel matters are private, confidential matters. And we cannot discuss personnel matters in a public setting. Just a statement that I'm making, but the employee does have rights, and we're sure not going to violate those employee rights. Okay, anything else here? Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good and welfare. Our public health department is very undermanned. We have the health fair coming up. We're actively trying to recruit a health services director. So just if anybody has any medical background or is a RN or an MD or some kind of medical professional, we would certainly like you to come forward and apply for this position. If you know anybody, please do. We're very understaffed and we need help. So if it's just a plea to the community, if you're available and you know someone.
But please work through Beth in our office. Just don't show up and
Oh, yeah, of course.
and so forth. But it's good having.
It's a job.
And it was called the 9 Health Fair, and now I think we're calling it the 5 Health Fair or something because the
Channel 5.
Channel 5 Health Fair, because they're the ones that sponsored down here instead of Channel 5. All right, anything else?
Are you going to address anything about the flood danger since these fires?
Yes, ma'am. We talked about that on Friday.
Okay,
We have, no problem, let me bring you up. And that's part of this thing with Christie called this afternoon. We're trying to find sources of funding so we can get some remote stations up on top of the mountain, so we can get some flood gauges along the bridges. They're very expensive. We've met with, Ruth helped us a lot. I guess maybe she must have left, but with the fire department, we've worked and we've had mitigation people in 2 or 3 different times. We've had the Corps of Engineers in, a number of folks looking at the flooding potential through Wetmore and through Greenwood. There's going to be, I think there's going to be severe flooding down through South Hartscrabble. I don't know, but the potential is there for it. And we will have an early warning system. Now, at this point in time, what we're encouraging and looking forward or towards is that you folks here in town kind of get together and we're trying to see if we can set up something so we can clean up the trash through Hartscrabble and take out some of the down trees and brush and stuff that's in there so we can clean that channel. My big concern, we're going to have stuff coming down the creek, but by the time it leaves South Canyon and comes down through Donnelly's, we're going to have a lot of that trash. The limbs and that stuff, I think, some of that's going to be filtering out. But down here, if we pick up the trash through Greenwood or through Wetmore here, it could come in and plug up that bridge and then kick it right over by the old store and around the old station. I'm trying to work out a deal so we've got someplace close that we can haul the trees to, stuff the slashes we take out. So it's handy to be disposed of. We're still working on those details. Well, here's another item I'll share with you right now, and I won't get into detail, but I've got to go to Arizona tomorrow for a family emergency, and the Corps of Engineers in Albuquerque has indicated that they are very interested in doing an intense study on the Junkins fire. The reason they are is because it's a very late season fire. What we're seeing up there is primarily snow and light moisture and freezing and thawing. So it's a different set of conditions than we normally see in a fire. And my intent as I go through Albuquerque, I'm going to stop and meet with them and see if they've indicated they want to do it. I'm going to go see what we can do, because if they take that on, then we'll have a lot more gauges, a lot more data coming off the fire. So at this point, we've had a lot of meetings internally. We've identified some groups that would be willing to come in and help you folks. I'm just speaking for myself, but Cindy Howard, Emergency Service, and I have talked about this. We will be having meetings with you folks, and I guess my thought is just, I want to, as a commissioner, also as an individual, I want to have some pretty detailed evacuation plans for you folks that we develop together. As an example, if there's a person over here on the creek that's at risk, that there may be 2 or 3 of you who are in higher ground that will help that person get out. I mean, neighbor helping neighbor to me is a lot more effective than waiting for someone to come in, because I do not want, my biggest horror is that we have a loss of life down here. And we're going to do everything we can to avoid that. And the next issue, and this comes back to county monies again, if we lose 2 or 3 of those culverts or bridges, we're gonna have some sizable county expenses, and until we get some funding, if we can get emergency funding, to replace that. So we're gonna do what we can. Larry took me around the other day. We toured and looked and visited and talked, and I kind of think we got some rough ideas. So that's, Kathy, that's where we are, if that makes sense to you. But it is an item that's on top of our list.
Thank you.
The other area we don't know how severely it will be impacted is that Smith subdivision. But we do have some country that burned up high, and there can be potential is there for water coming down North Hartscrabble. And if you look the way we changed the road there 50 years ago, put it on the south side of the road and stuff, that potentially there's some areas in there that could be an issue. And again, we're going to be proactive to the degree that we can, trying to identify points and then with the landowners there, collectively see what we can do to minimize that. Dale, do you have any thoughts? You're one of those guys that might get your feet wet. Because if it goes through that old channel, breaks across the road, it's gonna come right through by your barns there.
Well, if it gets up to my barn, that water will be 30 feet deep.
No, but I mean, to your driveway, that's gonna come down the old creek channel. Okay? You folks have any other questions regarding that? Good question, Kathy, thank you. Okay, hearing none, at this time I will recess this meeting of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and it is 10:31, and we will reconvene at, I believe it's 1 o'clock, isn't it?
Yes.
At the Commissioners Room in Westcliff for personnel matters.
Now, is that executive session, is that a workshop, or what is that?
No, originally we talked about a workshop, but we're going to be discussing applications and stuff, so it's strictly a personnel
So
matter.
it won't be a workshop?
No, ma'am. It will
And
be-
So you will be able to take action?
It will be-
It will be executive session?
It will be an executive session, and no action will be taken. And then if we come to we take an action, we'll come back out in a new meeting to take an action. Did that answer it for you? Okay? Yes, ma'am.
When is your next meeting down here?
March 21.
It's in March.
Yeah, I believe it's the 21st again, so.
It's whatever our regular rotation has been.
March 21.
March 21st, and I think that's right, because the 7th, we're up there, and we're trying to do this 2 weeks after that meeting.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, folks.
Welcome to come up.
Thank you all for your courtesies. PM. The point we are on our agenda now will be to go into executive session, the purpose being to discuss personnel issues. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn that we recess the commissioners meeting, and we will then reconvene as executive session?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chair, you have to announce who's going to be in the executive session with you.
Before I adjourn,
Yes, you do. We learned
I
that
am
from
now
our
going to
school
hear a motion
system.
to read it to reconvene.
No.
Would we please amend the minutes to show that the executive session will consist of the 3 county commissioners and 2 other individuals who we've asked to join us. One being Gary Hyde, our county road boss, and the other being Terry, our school board president. We want to have a broad spectrum of representation. Also in the room will be our Bizana Hobby, our administrative personnel person, Brenda, our administrative aide, and Kelly, the clerk and recorder. And I believe I will also include our county attorney, Clint Smith. That's sufficient? Thank you. Wouldn't have done that before.
Well, I just know because of,
That's all right. No, never hesitate a correction.
Well, should we be doing that every time? I mean,
when you go into executive session, yes, you have to say who is going to be in the executive session with you.
let's amend it and do it.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Commissioner Hood made a motion, seconded by Commissioner Prince to go into executive session citing Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-402 regarding personnel issues. We will now be in executive session.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we're live.
I'm going to reconvene the County Commission meeting on February the 21st, 2017 at 2:13 p.m. I attest that I am the chairman of the Custer County Board of Commissioners and confirm that the discussion remained on topic and that no matters were adopted or no actions or decisions were made.
As the county attorney, I'll certify that everything stayed on topic. We discussed personnel matters exclusively and there were no decisions made.
Okay. At this time, I would, what other business do we have to come before the board?
You need to decide if you want to direct me to write a letter.
Yeah, I'm just asking if they want to bring.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we ask the county attorney, Mr. Smith, to write a letter that was discussed for the signature of, does it need to be three of us?
Yes.
Okay. For the three signatures, do I need to say more?
Just that it relates to a personnel matter, so we can't disclose the substance of it.
Thank you. And it relates to a personnel matter, a confidential personnel matter.
I'll second the motion as stated.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there any discussion first? I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, I'll get that address from you and I can probably get the letter to Brenda tomorrow and she can get your signatures.
Okay.
And we agree that we can come in and sign it and then we can send it forward. Okay. Is there any actions regarding the assistant road boss?
I'd like to make the motion that we formally interview all three candidates, scheduled to begin 2 o'clock on February the 28th.
In executive session?
In executive session.
So moved and seconded that we interview all three of the candidates who applied for the assistant road boss position on the 28th of February at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there any business to come forward at this time?
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.